Hello YouTube, Vlogging X Rants here, and this week I'm responding to about 99% of the Drunken Peasants podcast, but there's also one thing I want to quickly respond to on the Outspoken Realists video on the Drunken Peasants. Now, the majority of the time, I agree with the Drunken Peasants. This is one of the few times where I think they've gone absolutely moronic. Before I begin, I do want to give credit to the Outspoken Realist who guided the scripting of this video through his own video. I'll link that up in the description. With that out of the way, let's begin.
I want to preface this video by saying that I'm a huge fan of the Drunken Peasants, as most people who watch me already know. I love the show and I love the peasants, so this isn't a hate video. This is just one of the few times I vehemently disagree with them. So on episode 308, they watched a video from CultofDusty. Real quick. I originally liked Dusty, then utterly despised him during his little AIU phase, but started liking him again when he became the only big voice in the skeptic community to point out the cancerous problem that has been infecting it lately. And that problem is that it started coddling Trump and the alt-right because hating on the left became trendy and popular and therefore profitable. So all these so-called skeptics threw logic and reason out the window in order to appease their right-leaning fan base by putting the left under a microscope and attacking every little trivial fucking detail while sweeping what the right has been doing under the rug. That's the problem.
I agree with this entirely. He basically explained that better than I could have, so that's why it's here. Now we continue with the Drunken Peasants video.
Hey dudes, welcome to the CultofDusty. I am your host, Dusty the White. You know, recently I've taken...
So I'm sorry to interrupt already, but what is this weird-ass fucking setup you got going on here, Dusty?
Dusty, what's going on?
This is not good.
That's a podcast. That's like a vocal performance isolation thing.
I get
sure.
that.
The angle. Yeah. What is this?
This angle he's shooting himself from, and what is the like?
Dusty, there's a way better angle to shoot yourself from. I don't really get this. I mean, I understand like if you're recording that setup makes sense, but when you're doing video as well, like why don't you put a webcam on top of that monitor right there, dude?
Yeah, right there, or the laptop monitor.
Just look
but
at
that's just nitpicky shit.
Look at all the wasted space. Look at the strange composition of this shot. It makes no fucking sense.
Well, let's just get to what he's saying.
Sure, of course. I just wanted to point out right away that this setup just looks bad.
in a buttload of flack for a whole bunch of things.
It sounds
but
good,
among
though.
those things...
Are you wearing pajamas?
Yeah, Dusty, also...
You look like fucking Zod. What is going on?
I also want to say, Dusty, it looks like you're putting on a little weight there, dude. Kneel before Dusty!
It's my insinuation that social justice warriors aren't the most important thing on Earth, and that by over-focusing on social justice warriors, we're ignoring even worse things that are being done by the conservative Christians.
Pause it, Dusty. I hate to break this to you, man, and this is a valid point for just me as well, but I'm not going this way. You're not Hugh Hefner, dude. the bathrobe, everything you're doing, you're not that. Just stop it. Like when you have a mansion filled with beautiful women who are just sleeping with you because you're just so rich and successful.
Never.
You know, you can pull this off. Right now you can. I'm sorry, dude.
And never mind the
Not
fact...
saying I can. Just
Cult
saying,
of Krusty,
come on.
dude.
Yeah.
This is sad. Sad, low energy.
Guys, Dusty said shit. How about you respond to it and not talk about his setup? That is a red herring fallacy for all four of you.
And our ignoring that has come...
Go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, like, what he's saying doesn't make any sense. Like, he's talking about, like, how we're over-focusing on SJWs. Why can't we focus on both?
Paul is correct in asking the question, why not talk about both? Yes, we should be talking about both the regressive left and the far right, but that is not what most of the alt-right infested skeptic community does. They give the far right a pass for making everything the regressive left says some egregious crime. I do give Ben, Scotty and Paul a pass. I give TJ a partial pass as he only goes after other groups on the Drunken Peasants podcast. However, it's a complete straw man to think that Dusty is saying otherwise. Outspoken Realist gets a pass as well. Thunderfoot gets a sort of pass, as he does go after pseudoscience as well. But that's about it, really.
Yeah,
I don't know what this false dichotomy is. I don't ignore the damage that the conservative Christian right does in this country and hyper focus only on, why can't we do both?
That's not true. Yeah, we do focus on that somewhat, but we cover politics, we cover a lot of shit. We don't just cover only SJWs.
Neither does TJ or any of the other people you're talking about.
Wow, talk about taking that criticism personally. I can't speak entirely for Dusty, but I'm pretty sure that he gives the Drunken Peasants a pass about the SJWs, as they do focus on the far right and other lunatics.
I might include TJ in that, though, since he's one of those people who perpetuated the false narrative that Trump is the lesser of two evils.
Okay, I do want to at least partially correct the outspoken realist here. This is one of the things that I do at least partially disagree with him on. While yes, I will concede, initially TJ supported Trump, this was influenced by this $1,000 bet with Scotty about who would win the election. Towards the end of the election campaign, TJ turned away from Trump. He even did a video called Hillary Clinton 2016. Yes, he did a Donald Trump 2016 video, but that was likely because at the time he was still pissed that the DNC screwed Bernie Sanders. The same thing happened with Dusty. He admitted in his video why I joined the alt-right and why I quit that he joined the alt-right as well, but he left later on. So TJ is not as guilty of the pro-Trump thing as, for example, Blair White or Sargon of Akkad, the latter of whom all but endorsed Trump. So I think you're going too far with TJ pushing that Trump is better than Hillary narrative, by extension making him part of the alt-right, but I do understand where you're coming from.
Even the big anti-SJW channels like Sargon and Chris Reagan and Shoe on Head and Blair White, like all of those channels tackle like a wide variety of issues.
Bull fucking shit. The best of the four you mentioned is Chris Reagan. He does a few other things, so I guess what you say there is partially true. However, this doesn't apply to the other three. Sargon of Akkad's videos are 90% anti-feminist and anti-SJW videos. He does very little on anything else. The same story with Blair White. Less than 20% of her videos aren't about SJWs. And the only reason Shoe on Head doesn't have an SJW video percentage of 90% plus is because she does videos with Armored Skeptic, and they usually talk about other things on the Shoe Off Head somewhat regularly, and on her appearances on Armored Skeptic and Armored Media and the other channels there. Per Sargon, Blair, Shoe, and even yourself, TJ, to a fair degree, the left is the only issue worth addressing, and the right is nowhere near as bad as they are. This is especially true of Sargon of Akkad, who is definitely alt-right and has a right-wing fan base.
Yeah, there's some focus on the SJWs because guess what? They're fucking ridiculous and easily mockable, and people really enjoy it.
TJ, do you know that the right is also extremely mockable as well? You guys do the mocking of the alt-right and people enjoy it. Same with Secular Talk, he mocks the right and lots of people enjoy it. Most of the other skeptic channels are, however, alt-right, and therefore they don't mock the right because it will upset their right-wing fan bases.
And dangerous, too.
They are dangerous.
No fucking shit the SJWs are dangerous, but the far-right wingers are far more dangerous. Under the regressive left, you guys will be censored. Under the far right wingers, all four of you will be dead.
Note that cunt really doesn't have the same connotation in Australia as it does in America.
Yeah. Well,
this being Australian myself, I can back that up. Just putting that out there. About the only thing I agree with the Drunken Peasants on in this piece of shit video.
Why do you, but you act like if Hillary Clinton was elected, she'd have been this great, oh my god, she's gonna solve global warming with some fucking lame-ass like a little fucking carbon tax. And,
which never would have passed, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, like, this issue would not have been addressed by Hillary Clinton. She was a puppet for fucking Wall Street. Don't act like, I mean, Hillary Clinton would have fucking would have talked the talk, but she wasn't willing to walk the walk on climate change any more than fucking Trump.
Yeah, Hillary Clinton, if she had won the election, may not have done much about climate change. But here are a few things that she would not have done. Pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, which is what Trump plans to do. Hillary doesn't believe, quote, the concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make US manufacturing non-competitive. She wouldn't have put the climate change denialist as the thing of the EPA, a person who wants to get rid of the EPA. He wouldn't have put Rick Perry as the Secretary of Energy, another climate change denialist. And she would not have picked an ExxonMobil executive to be in her cabinet. That's exactly what Trump has done. Your false equivalence is stupid, incredibly stupid.
So now, because global warming is a problem, we can't talk about free speech.
First off, Paul, nobody said that you can't talk about freedom of speech. That is another bullshit straw man you have made in this bullshit video. Secondly, and ironically, Trump is anti-First Amendment. He wants to open up the libel laws so that he can sue journalists who make bad comments about him. He sued Bill Maher over a joke. He sued The Onion over satire. If anything, Trump and the other Republicans are as bad, if not worse, than the regressive left when it comes to freedom of speech.
Because look, I make my nut speaking. And SJWs want to control that. They want to censor that. They want to change the way that I interact with the people that watch me. That's important to me. That's just as important to me as global warming, which is going to kill the planet long after I'm fucking dead.
By the way, Paul, what you said was a lie. Climate change and its effects are happening now, today. Though I do want to credit Paul for caring about both the left's attack on freedom of speech and the right's attack on science. Kudos on that. By the way, though, remember when Dusty Smith said in his Joshua Fio Science Should Be Arrested Immediately video, when he said, and I quote, "Free speech is one of the most important things to me in this world. It's probably one of the few things I can think of that I would actually probably die over." Yeah, forgot about that, didn't you, Paul?
I mean, isn't Dusty Bathrobe Smith king free speech? Isn't he the guy that's always whining about how he's getting kicked off?
Facebook banned me again, guys.
Why did they ban you, Dusty?
But it's not an issue to you.
What contingency of people on Facebook made sure you got banned every time? Was it the Christian right? I don't think so. I don't fucking think so. I think it was the loony left, dude.
Irrelevant. Another red herring from TJ, Scotty, and Paul. Also, are these guys trying to argue that Dusty Smith is a hypocrite because of what he said about their straw man and Dusty getting banned? Get out of here with that bullshit. Oh, and just as a quick, by the way, for Outspoken Realist, he keeps getting banned from Facebook, not YouTube.
It depends on what ideas you're talking about. Because if you're not allowed to really say what you want, Dusty, then you talking about this issue is gone. So saying free speech is not an important issue is ridiculous. This is just as important as global warming, because only if people can talk openly and honestly about climate change will anything ever be done about it.
Dusty never said that, Scotty, you imbecile. All he said is that climate change is as important as free speech, if not a bit more important. And once again, falsely equivocating climate change and free speech. Outspoken Realist says it's a terrible analogy. I'm going further. Because this analogy is based on a straw man, it is automatically a false analogy, a logical fallacy. Seriously, guys, what the fuck is wrong with you in this segment?
Dipshit.
Can I ask Ben a question? Ben, you're an opinionated guy. You know what you believe, right?
Yeah.
How many times have you had your mind changed in your life by somebody walking up to you and going, "Hey, man, you care too much about this. Care more about this"?
Never.
No, I don't think anyone's ever had the experience.
Pretty much almost no one would be convinced by that.
My point in asking Ben that question is that's what Dusty's selling here. He's selling a world where you have to be more concerned about what he thinks you should be. Like, what?
Talk about a loaded question there, Paul. Paul knew in advance that Ben would answer the way he did. That's why he asked the question. Then he went on to strawman Dusty again. No, most of the skeptics are pro-science and anti-religion. Yet by attacking the regressive left constantly and sweeping anything unsavory about the right under the rug, like most of the skeptic community has done, and making out Trump to be better than he is, they've wound up completely abandoning their principles, interests and values. Trump has been promoting anti-science, pro-religion imbeciles to his cabinet, including his VP pick, anti-science theocrat Mike Pence. And there hasn't been any criticism of that from anybody except Thunderfoot, CultofDusty, Skecular Talk, and Drunken Peasants.
Don't you know? If you want to go after the Christian right, who's fucking stopping you from doing that?
Nobody.
Shit.
Who's fucking stopping you?
He never said that nobody is stopping him, you fool. All that Dusty is doing is calling bullshit on the alt-right infested skeptic community who are micro-analysing every little thing the regressive left says and making out to be some egregious hate crime, yet pushing under the rug every time Trump does the exact same fucking thing.
Hey, Dusty, let me ask you a question, Dusty. What can you possibly do to stop Trump when Trump is president? As you said, one of the most powerful people in the world. Trump is president. There's a Republican Congress and there's a Republican Senate. What are you going to do to stop it? Dusty, you can bitch and moan all day long. They don't care.
Exactly, Scotty! That is the exact reason why Trump should have lost the election. Unfortunately, most of the skeptic community endorsed Donald Trump. There are a few notable exceptions. Thunderfoot supported Hillary, Potholder54 was neutral, Dusty Smith supported Hillary, TJ came around in the end, Secular Talk was better Hillary than Trump, and I give credit where credit is due to him, atheism is unstoppable. And on a related note, control of the courts that is going to happen over the next 4 years is going to hurt the Bible Reloaded chances of winning over the Cristiano Film Group and the chances you guys have of winning over Tommy Sotomayor. Ironically, this election has hurt you guys more than a Hillary Clinton victory ever could have.
This is a line out of the SJW playbook.
Why are you paying so much attention to this when rape culture is a thing?
Yeah.
No, Scotty, just no. And this is because, once again, not only is Paul's ego strawman Dusty's position again, but because of that strawman, in the process of attacking the strawman, committed another false analogy by comparing his strawman to Dusty and issues with a feminist, saying what he said earlier.
Dude, Dusty, all I can do, and I've seen people do that. Look, obviously you're concerned about all this stuff. All I have to do is find issues that you're not talking about, Dusty. I can make the same argument to you. Dusty, why are you talking about this?
Why are you talking about these people starving, Dusty?
Well, what about these people here, Dusty? Why are you talking about this situation?
I mean, yeah, you're talking about global warming, Dusty. There are people right now
it's genocide.
that need food. They need food right now and water right now. Why are you talking about global warming, which ain't going to kill the world for another 200 or 300, 400 years? There are people right now starving,
right
Dusty.
now, dying of disease, Dusty.
Woman is being raped right now somewhere, Dusty. Why aren't you talking about that?
Female genital mutilation.
Save her. Honor killings. Fucking fires and droughts and plagues. Why don't you talk about that, Dusty?
Wow, all 4 members of the Drunken Peasants podcast just went full retard, gone off the deep end, plunged over the cliff towards the center of the earth, etc. Dusty is not saying, don't talk about X issue or talk about Y issue. That is not what he is saying at all, you imbeciles. His message to most of the skeptic community is not to focus so much on the regressive left and stop sweeping unsavory stuff that the far right has done under the rug. This is something that the skeptic community, by and large, has been extremely intellectually dishonest about, making basically everything the regressive left said to be some egregious hate crime, while saying that the exact same things that the right-wingers do isn't bad by comparison, despite them doing the same thing. What you saw in the last 40 seconds was demonstration of both the strawman and loaded questions fallacies, with the whole, why aren't you talking about this issue, herpa derpa derpa? Idiots. This has got to be the single fucking worst response the Drunken Peasants have ever made to anybody ever. All 4 of you should be ashamed of yourselves. Ben, not so much, he didn't get into it that much. But Scotty, TJ, and especially Paul's ego have made an entire straw man, which they then spent the whole segment tearing down. Nothing they said was what Dusty said, and it is shocking that these 3 are acting like all of the people they criticise for doing it. Talk about hypocrisy. So that is my video response to the Drunken Peasants, and the worst response they have ever made to anybody ever. Yes, even worse than their response to Dusty the 2nd time and to Kevin Logan the 5th time. I want to give credit to the Outspoken Realist for the video idea. Please rate, comment, share and subscribe, and have a great day everyone.